just gonna jump right in. I started a YouTube channel. YouTube. That was a strong start. Hi. Hello. My name is April. Okay. Hello, my name is April. Already seeing problems. I created a YouTube channel a few years ago because I had created a web series called Long Island South Shore. And I created the YouTube channel to use as a platform for the web series. And then I began vlogging, and I would vlog about my husband and I discovering things in Los Angeles. We love doing that. And I also was vlogging about being a blue collar actor. And by blue collar actor, I don't mean just doing blue collar roles. I mean attitude and frame of mind. Being blue collar towards an acting career, and how you can have a career. I've had a career since I'm a teenager. I've been acting since then, and how you can have this career and continue to work as an actor. You don't necessarily have to be famous or well known, and you can make a living as an actor. So I wrote for an online magazine called Miss in the Biz. My platform with Miss in the Biz was Blue Collar Actor, and they went on a hiatus for a while, and they're back, and I am a contributor to them. And I wrote an article recently about my web series, and there's only, they are blogs, so there's only a certain length that they can be, or else they're books. And so I thought I could collaborate with that with my YouTube channel and talk more in depth about the things I wrote about that I couldn't go in depth because it would be too long. So on June 26th of this year, I wrote an article about my web series Long Island South Shore, and the article said, "Actors, create your own content even if you have no idea where to begin." And I first want to say this. The reason I wrote the article for Miss in the Biz is because I always try to come from a point of view to let people know you can, if you're a creative person like I am, creative people need to create. When we're not creating, life is not fun. Creating this web series gave me that something that made me realize that on my downtime, or when I wasn't getting a lot of auditions or getting work, I could sit down and be writing the show and creating the show. And we can come up with thousands of reasons why we can't get started, but when Kat Therese is my producing partner, she co-wrote it with me, she directed it, I starred in it. In a nutshell, and it's all in the article, which I'll put the link down below, I met Kat when she was casting her thesis film, and I don't usually audition for student films, but every once in a while I will go and do that, because I do believe, I'm a curious person, and I am still curious about every generation before me and every generation after me. I'm curious about their idea of life and their idea of storytelling and what they think of. And I remember the first time I ever saw Girls, I was like, oh my God. Lena Dunham is amazing. I know people have their points of view. I love her. I bumped into her recently and I was like, you're hysterical. And she could easily have been a student doing a student film had she gone that route that I would have gone in. So I think it's important to know how other generations want to tell stories. And so that's one of the reasons I do it. And with that, I stumbled upon Kat. And we immediately connected. We didn't really become friends. We immediately connected. I did get in her thesis film. I worked on her film. And then I came to her one day as complete strangers and said, what about if we take this idea and we make it into a web series? Knowing we were, coming together as complete strangers. We didn't have any money. We didn't know how to produce it. We didn't really know anything. But I said, I have a lot of friends. She has a lot of friends. Let's begin. And we began writing the script. And we wrote the script around different things that were in her thesis film. So we had some of the film already in the can from her thesis film, and we wrote the rest of the script around it, and obviously went deeper into telling the story about these characters. just began. We had the DP from the her thesis film that was a friend of hers. She had a camera. We had some sound equipment that she got from people she knew. And the first shot we did was in her apartment. And again, we were just like, okay, scene, take one. And little by little, we just began grabbing scenes here and there. On the weekends, we would do it late at night. And one of the things we did is, because we were all working, and doing our own things, is that we would only really shoot one scene at a time. And so sometimes we'd meet at, Saturday morning at 11 o'clock and we'd be done by 2. And it just made it not seem so laborious that you began to resent it, because you're not, again, this isn't something like, at the end of it, there's a money payoff. You're really just doing it to create. And as we started doing it, we began falling more and more in love with it and what we were doing. It took us a couple of years. We would have to, get people that all had the day off. We would have to get the equipment, and we would have to get the locations. There's one location we're in a convenience store. Honestly, there was a guy that owned the store next door that he's no longer there, and I loved him. I would go into his store every single day, and I just asked him, and he was like, yeah, that's fine, come in. And he just let us come in between business. Like, people were coming in and out, and he just let us shoot in there. And we kind of stole locations. Not stole them, we just asked people, and we shot all over the place. And what would be the kitchen, then we walked into the living room, would be two completely different houses. And a lot of people would question, like, oh, when's this going to be done? When's this going to be done? And the one thing I told Kat, and I'm telling you, is I said, you know what? We're not doing this for other people. I don't care what they say. I don't care if it takes us 5 years to get it done. I don't care. We're doing it for us. This is like our thing. It's like one of the few things in life where we're not under a deadline. So let's just do it. And so we did that, and we just began grabbing shots here and there. And then one day, we were done. And we sat in front of the computer, and we had all this material to look at, and we were kind of blown away that we had done this. Then we kind of looked at each other and said, okay, so now what? So we started assembling all the shots together. We did a rough edit. Then we started fine-tuning the edit, and we did all of this together. Kat knew how to use I have since taken an Avid class, but Kat knew how to use, I think we did it on Premiere. She did it on Premiere, basically. And so she knew how to use Premiere. And when we were finally done, and it took a while, then we had an ADR, and there's a beach scene in it, and it was a day at the beach that there was basically a hurricane. Or a tornado, I should say, one or the other. It literally was one of the windiest days in LA since like 1864. And we were down at Channel Islands because we felt it kind of looked the most Long Island-y. And you can't tell from the footage, but I had scratch marks down both sides of my cheek, mostly this one because I was turning constantly towards my daughter. And the wind and the sand, which how when you always hear like, all sand is grains of glass? Well, guess what? It's true. Because it ripped both sides of my face. I had scratch that scabbed. That's how windy it was that day. But we just kept going. One of our attitudes were always just do it, just do it, just do it. And we just thought, you know what, if at the end of the day, it's horrible. Well, the sound, the sound worked really well, except there was a lot of, in the background. It could have been okay, but, we ADR'd the whole thing and went over it word by word by word and looped in the conversation. We didn't necessarily know how to ADR. Googled a lot of stuff that we didn't know how to do. We asked a lot of friends, and we had snuck into the school that she had gone to school with, and we used their ADR booth. None was the wiser, so we just did whatever we had to do. I guess my point is that I never like to come from the attitude of, well, how are we going to do that? Or where are we going to get that? I just like going, oh, we have to do this. And then like, okay, how do we do this? Kind of like the way kids navigate. That's how I navigated as a kid. And you know what? It worked. And I had a lot more fun. So we would just do that. We just would think, and she'd think, well, there's a sound booth at school. So we would just kind of walk past the guard and go in and use it. And no one really knew. So we ADR'd, so we got done, we assembled it, we ADR'd, and then we color corrected it, and we created an opening sequence. We added music. There was some music that were songs that were already written that were put into it to be like background music, and some I'm singing at the beginning to a song on the radio, and then we added in like all the ambiance, and there was a sound designer who was also a friend of Kat's who sound designed it. Another person added in all the music, not just the ambiance but actual scoring, wrote the opening sequence, and then we added the ending credits, and then we color corrected it, and then I guess we were done, right? Let me see if I'm missing any steps. Yeah, we had somebody build us a web page. He did an amazing job, and he was very, very sweet. He's been amazing to us, building the page for us. And then we just uploaded it to YouTube. Like once we were done, we were like, okay, now what? And I was like, all right, let's upload it to YouTube. We had finished it. We had created the web page. So we created the web page, uploaded it to YouTube, and then I thought I created a Facebook account, Instagram account, and then we just launched it. And then I was like, okay, now what do you do? Besides people like, hey, good job, or good for you. And it was great to have footage. It was great for her. It was great for me. We had content. So I thought, all right, well, I guess let's submit to film festivals and web festivals. And I Googled what is the best web festival, and the first thing that came up was the LAwebfest that was created by Michael AJAKWE. And I was like, okay, so he had a very involved process to submit to. There was a long questionnaire. I've done a lot more since. His was the most involved, which I think is great in a way. And so I submitted to that, and that wasn't going to be decided for months. And that was all I did. And because I kind of didn't know what to think. I didn't know what anyone else would think of it, or it was just something that it was just a first step into going in that direction. I think Kat felt the same way. And then about maybe 3 months later, I saw online that we had gotten into the LAwebfest, and honestly, I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow. And I have to thank Michael AJAKWE, who has recently passed away, because he just did that thing where he gave us that one little thumbs up, and if you don't know about him, Google him. He created all these web festivals. And I think part of his, I can't speak for him, but I think part of his reasoning was to kind of take the power away from, just having studios and everybody tell you if you can tell your stories, and just kind of put the creativity to the people. And he really did that. And by him giving us the thumbs up, and we were accepted into the festival in the drama, because it's a dark. It's dramatic web series. I know most web series are comedies. This is not. And we ended up getting nominated for 2 nominations for actors, 2 for music, and 1 for Kat and I got it for writing. And I ended up winning for Best Actress drama, which was amazing. So now we were an award-winning web series. And we kind of looked at each other like, okay, should we do a season 2? And Michael AJAKWE actually had emailed me and said, do a season 2, and just really was so sweet about wanting to let me know that to go on. He knew that it was a hard, long, arduous journey with not a lot of payoff, but to keep going. And so we began writing season 2. And then just recently, just as within the last 3 weeks, we found out that we were accepted into the New Jersey WebFest, which will be in September. And those New Jersey boys are fun, and so we're going to have a good time. And nominations haven't come out yet, so I don't know if we're nominated for anything, but we did get into the web festival. And when you get into the festival, is your series gets screened. Like when we went to LAwebfest, he screened 2 episodes on the movie screen, and Kat and I just looked at each other and it looked so good, and we were like, wow. So now we're working on season 2. Money-wise, we honestly, people talk about all these budgets. We spent Somebody got all the equipment. Everybody that, you know, pitched in was people that wanted to work, and whether they were in front of the camera or behind the camera. Kat and I did everything else ourselves. We got all the locations for free, and we, you know, like I said, it was a small amount of money. There'll be a cost for season 2 because there is a certain location that we have to rent, and, you know, we're kind of up in our game a little for season 2. We do want to shoot some stuff on Long Island, and but that's like the next step. And of course, now we're also going into that, like, not knowing what's going to come of it and what to expect, but it's like we're just taking the natural progression into the next thing. So I guess the gist of this, just begin. If you have a story to tell, write it, get a camera, get some sound equipment, get some friends, and just begin. And you know what? If it turns out to where you're like, oh, this is awful, who cares? And if it turns out to where you're really proud of it, take it to the next level. Put it in festivals. See if you can get some, you know, some street cred on creating a series. Do a second season. Where it's going to go from there, I don't know. I mean, ultimately, we'd love it to, you know, be a story that was told by people that had a lot of money to tell it, you know, broadly. And but everything kind of reveals itself as we go along. So create your own content. As an actor, whenever things seemed slow, I was like, you know what, I'm going to start writing. And I would just start writing more of this character, more of this character. And by the way, is it any accident that I won Best Actress for a character that I actually helped write? Because you know what? When you write for yourself, you're going to write good stuff. You're going to write stuff to really show your strengths. And to really kind of do that part that you wished you could do. I almost feel like this character, Danielle, she's kind of like a Long Island Lady Macbeth. And that's a character that's in my wheelhouse, and so it worked. And I think as an actor, do that. Like, write to your strengths, create it, do it, find someone that'll take the journey with you, and it will free you to feel less at the mercy of so many other people to get a job. I also want to wrap this up by saying, if any of you have any advice to give me, if you've created a web series, if you know of, like, hey, you know, you can put it up here, or did you know you can do it over here on Amazon, or you can this or that, feel free to write me that information and share the knowledge that you have, because again, it's as we're going along, we only can help each other. Because this is kind of uncharted territory now, these web series where everybody kind of has the power to create themselves. This is all new. It really is. This didn't exist probably 15 years ago. So it's exciting, but it's all new frontier. So I'm sure there are people that have a lot more information and know a lot more than of course, I don't know. And I would love to hear it. I'd love to hear it. Also, I'm going to put down the link to Long Island South Shore, which is www.longislandwebseries.com. You can also find it here on my YouTube channel. And I'm going to put the link down to Miss in the Biz. And not just for the stuff that I write there, but, you know, it is a plethora of information. So anyway, you guys, thanks for joining me. And I find that when creatives are creating, the world is a much happier place. One of Michael AJAKWE's sayings were, don't wait, create. And there's a lot to be said for that. So thanks for watching. Please hit the like button, subscribe below. Maybe you can get me over 300 subscriptions. And you can follow me on Instagram at April Audia, at Twitter at April Audia. You know, it's just pretty much out there. Nothing fancy. I don't go on to some crazy name. And then I appreciate you guys watching, and have a great day. Bye.